Hello and welcome to this community outreach meeting, which is being held on September 29th for Bellflower Holdings LLC, which is proposing an adult use marijuana product manufacturer license in Blandford. This license is proposed to be located at 138 Otis Stage Road in Blandford, Massachusetts, with a zip code of 01008. We have with us attorney Blake Mensing as representative of Bellflower Holdings. Our meeting will open with a short presentation about the proposed establishment, followed by an opportunity for public engagement. We ask that you hold all questions until the end of the presentation, as there's a few topics we're legally required to cover at this meeting. So with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Blake.
Thank you, Quinn. Again, I'm attorney Blake Mensing here on behalf of Bellflower Holdings LLC. They are proposing an adult use cannabis manufacturing license to be co-located with its already issued cultivation license at 138 Otis Stage Road in Blandford, obviously. And I'm going to be covering some topics that the Cannabis Control Commission regulations require that we cover. And then there'll be an opportunity to ask questions at the end, as Quinn mentioned. So the first required topic has to do with presenting information adequate to demonstrate that the property will be secured. The Cannabis Control Commission regulations here, 935 CMR 500.110, go into really granular detail about how a facility such as this has to be secured. The security plan that accompanied the already issued cultivation license would be the guide here. It's going to be in the same building if granted. And the bells and whistles are essentially summarized as commercial grade locks, certain designated limited access areas where finished product is stored, where only certain members of the entity's hierarchical structure can access it. Every square inch of the facility, aside from the bathrooms, is covered under 1080p cameras with 24/7, 365 coverage and a minimum requirement for storage of 90 days. Each camera has its own irremovable date, time, and location watermark on each frame. So that'll tell the operators and the security company where footage was from and when, obviously. That is a very robust set of rules. The only facility that is more the only substance in the state that is more heavily regulated than cannabis is literally uranium. So these facilities are more secure than a bank, more secure than a pharmacy. And for anyone familiar with the site, it's up a fairly steep hill on private property. There will be a gate. So yeah, there's very little likelihood of any security issue happening. If someone were to try to break into the facility, they're covered on camera. There's panic and duress alarms, so the police could come at a moment's notice. And frankly, you'd have to be a pretty foolish criminal to attempt to rob one of these places. You're going to get caught. The next required topic has to do with preventing diversion to minors. Frankly, the security system is one major deterrent for minors getting a hold on it of any products from this facility. The only available customers for a manufacturing license is another licensed entity in Massachusetts. So there's no on-site sales. You can't pull up and say, "Hi, I'd like to buy some of your products." That has to be through a different venue, basically just not there. So in addition to that, the commission requires that each product, each individual unit, carry a unique alphanumeric code that gets entered into the state seed to sale tracking platform known as metric. So that metric number and that metric tag lives with the product no matter where Bellflower decides to sell it. And that leaves a trail of breadcrumbs to be able to figure out, if, let's say, worst case, someone, gets a product produced from here and it ends up in the high school. Well, you can figure out, which retailer made that sale. And then you can basically have a clause where you say, if you're not, guarding where this ends up, both on an individual level and a licensed entity level, then we, the supplier at Bellflower, will say we're not going to jeopardize our license by having you, with things ending up in the hands of minors. So the other thing of note is state law is really clear on this. You have to be 21 years old even to enter this facility. And that actually would apply, frankly, even to a 20-year-old police officer. If that police officer is 20, their badge doesn't trump state law. So this is a really tightly controlled ship. No under 21 admittance, no ifs, ands, or buts. The next required topic has to do with a plan to positively impact the community. That has a couple of meanings. At the state level, there's what's known as a positive impact plan. And that is geared towards helping people who were negatively impacted and disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. And that failed drug war resulted in a lot of people doing time for frankly reasons that are now not illegal. So there are 29 areas of disproportionate impact in the state, where statistics have shown that those people got harsher sentences and sort of more frequent interactions with the law. So what Bellflower has discussed doing is making a donation to a nonprofit called the Big Hope Project. They do work in those 29 areas of disproportionate impact, including expungement clinics and trainings. They have a mentorship program where they're trying to help people get into the industry, as well as just offering general educational events to try to equip people to break into the industry. So that's the main plan, the positive impact plan at the state level. At the local level, I will just note that Bellflower, over the last couple of years, despite not opening, has given away in the couple of 100 turkeys each year during Thanksgiving to families in need in Blandford. That I think shows you the type of operators they will be, because they're already doing it before they've even opened for business. So I expect that to continue. The last required topic has to do with basically not constituting a nuisance by operation of this facility. So for a manufacturing facility, where they're likely going to be processing a lot of what they grow on the cultivation side, which again is already an issued license, there are state rules about controlling odors. The location, the siting of the site means that the odors are very controllable because it's in a physical building. So they'll have a separation in terms of where the equipment is for extraction or manufacturing of other products, that's separate from the cultivation. But there's really not a huge risk for a nuisance here. If they do cause a nuisance, that would jeopardize a few things. It would jeopardize their state license, their local host community agreement, their special permit. And anyone who's aggrieved and thinks that they're a neighbor and are facing a nuisance because of this facility's operation, they are allowed to bring a nuisance action against this operation, and there's no legal benefit to having a license. That doesn't mean it's a get out of jail free card. You can't be a bad neighbor, regardless of what licensure you may have. So yeah, these are responsible folks. They are committed. They have cannabis industry experience. And as I said, this facility has already had an approved cultivation license. And we went through that process both with the town of Blandford and the state. So we know we can get it done because they have already. So yeah, the commitment there is to not cause a nuisance and to work with the town to make sure any complaints that come in, if they do, there'll be a response and accountability. So with that, I'll turn it back to Quinn, and thank you.
Thanks, Blake. We had an opportunity for the public to submit questions in advance and did not receive any questions. We have one member of the public on the call. If you'd like to make a comment or if you have a question, you can either just unmute yourself or you can press the *9 button to raise your hand if you have any technical difficulties. Give it just a minute in case any members of the public have a question. It's looking like we don't, so I'm going to conclude this meeting. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.